Hi, my name is Kemi. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In our last lesson, we talked about getting ourselves familiar with the Python interface. We said this is the console, and this place is called an IDLE shell. And this console can be used to type in our codes. We could revisit it and make adjustments, and IDLE is used to display our results. And then we could also do some other stuff there. So today we're going to be talking about variable names, assignments, and variable types. So what's a variable name? A variable name is used to assign a value which gets stored in the memory of our system or our machine. So if I want to have a name, let's say I want to work and I have a name, and my name is Kemi. So this name is called variable name. This equal to is called an assignment, and this Kemi is called a variable type, and variable type is called a string. So there are a couple of things you need to have at the back of your mind when writing your code. The first thing is that a variable name will start with a letter or an underscore. So you can have a variable name start with special signs and the likes, but you can start with an underscore. So you can have a name like this, and you can have Kemi like that. So the second rule is that a variable name cannot start with a number. You can have a variable name like this. You see, I got an error. So another rule is that you can have a variable name being a reserved word in Python. There are a couple of reserved words that we have in Python. I'm going to drop a list of them in the description below. So we have the likes of try, except, else, if, for, and the likes, in, is. We have a bunch of those names, but if you actually do want to use any of this reserved word, you could actually use it, but you can't use it like this. You could use it with an underscore. So you can have is like this. Okay, you could have is equal to Kemi like this, and it will work. So if you really want to use a reserved word in Python, that's how you're going to use it, and you're not going to get an error. So now moving on to variable types. We have a couple of variable types in Python. We have string, we have integer, and we have boolean. We also have complex numbers too. So I'm going to give you an example of each one of this. So how do you identify a string? How do you identify an integer? How do you identify a boolean? And how do you identify a complex number? So a complex number is a number that has a numeric value that has a character value. So you could have 3J like this, and you could have expressions like that. These are complex values. You can see I don't get an error. So a boolean, just like our yeses and nos, is a true or false response. So a boolean is just two. We have true and we have false. So those are the boolean types that we have. So another variable type that we have is the integer. So an integer could be a whole number, 23, 45, 67. Just think of a positive whole number That's what an integer value is. And then I forgot to mention the other numeric value that we have is a float. A float is an integer with a decimal. So you could have 12.0 is not an integer, it's a float. You could have 23.789 and this is a float. The last but not the least is a string. A string is any character that is enclosed in a single or a double quotation. So I could have my name, just like I've mentioned before. My name is Kemi and this is a string. I could have a number is 17 and this is a string. This is not a number because this number is enclosed in a single quotation. So one of the things you have to have at the back of your mind that could give you an error is that when you are opening a single quotation, you should be closing it with a single quotation. Otherwise, you could get an error. Like if I say a number is, I open it with a double and then I have 34 and then I close it with a single. You can see EOL while scanning string literal. So it's telling you that you have an unclosed double quotation and then you have an unclosed single quotation. So please don't make that error when you're naming your variable. So let's do a quick recap of what we've done. So I'm going to do a couple of naming here. My name is Kemi. Okay, welcome. Okay, I'm going to say, I don't want to use name again. Let me use something else. Greeting. Welcome to my channel. Okay. Now, this one is what? Okay, yeah, you got it. A variable name. And this is what? An assignment. Wow, this is what? A string. So let's have another one. A number is 34. This is what? A variable name. This is an assignment. Wow, this is a variable type, and a variable type of what? Integer. Thank you. Now another one, let's say a decimal, 12.90. So let's go. This is a variable name, this is an assignment, and this is a variable type. And the variable type of what? Okay, a variable type of float. And why is it a float? Because it has a decimal point. So there are two naming conventions in Python. Now that we know the conditions that are to be observed when we are naming our variables, it shouldn't start with a number. It shouldn't be a reserved word in Python. It could have numbers but at the back. And then what else? Remind me, please. Okay, so the more you familiarize yourself with Python, you get to know all those little tricks. But don't worry, if you don't know that yet, you get there. So there are two naming conventions in Python. We have the snake case and the camel case. So a snake case and camel case, just like a snake, you know, it's coily. So if you want to combine more than one word in Python, you could have my name and then will. Okay, you could have my age. You have 13. Do you understand? So now another naming convention you have in Python is the camel face. Now just picture how camel looks. Yeah, exactly. It has a hunchback. So I have my name like that. Will. Okay, I can have my age. 45. Oh, I'm not 45, don't worry. So you can name your variables like this and you are good to go. I hope this video was helpful. I'll drop a link to an exercise to familiarize yourself and to have a self-assessment to know if you really understand what I have taught today. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. See you next time.